Sometimes we talk so much about what we want to achieve, but the real challenge isn't knowing what to do. It is doing it consistently. I was watching one of Alex Hormoz's video recently. If you know Alex, you already know that he's a powerhouse when it comes to personal growth, mindset, and achieving your goals. His advice on achieving your goal was so honest and practical, and I felt like it's worth sharing it here. So let's listen to what he said together.
You're not making as much money as you want because you're not saying the right words or saying them the right way. Saying the right words comes down to the correct scripting. Saying them the right way comes down to tone. Now, how do you make sure that you have the correct tone? So there's 5 things you can do to modulate your voice. And 3 of them will be fixed, 2 of them are variable. And so when you're writing a script or you're observing somebody who's better than you at selling in order to learn, these are the 5 things that you need to look for. So 3 create what I call sales tone. These are constants. And so number 1 is that you have to speak loud enough that they can hear you. This should sound obvious. If they can't hear you, they can't understand you, they can't buy from you. Number 2, now this matters more in person than it does over the phone, because over the phone they can adjust their volume. In person it matters a lot.
Right?
The second part of sales tone is that you have to speak slowly enough that they can comprehend you, right? If you talk too fast, trust goes down. If you talk too slow, they think you're an idiot. And so you have to hit the sweet spot, which is typically under 185 words per minute and above 135. So that's a bit of the sweet spot. So for me, I tend to talk fast. And so when I gave my presentation at the book launch, which I referenced earlier, I know that I speak at 185 words per minute. And so I had to reverse engineer when I knew I was going to be dropping the link in order for people to buy at that timestamp, and then knew I had to have this many words prior to that point. And when you get consistent with how you speak, what happens is your sales conversations, if instead of being like, well, this one took an hour and a half and this one took 10 minutes, these start to become more consistent. If you sound like you're reading a script, the reality is it's because you don't know the script well enough. And so you probably are reading the script. If you want to sound like you're not reading a script, stop reading the fucking script. So how do you do that? So this is scientifically backed. This is one of the fastest ways to memorize anything. So you print out 2 versions of your script. You're going to have the script you read from, the script you correct yourself from, and then the script you read from. So here's how the practice works. This is how I train salespeople. You're going to sit down and you're going to say the entire script. You're going to read it out loud, enunciating every word clearly. That's it. After you finish the entire script, you're going to have one marker. Looks like this. And then you'll cross out one of the words. And then you will read that document again with the word missing. Then, when you get to the bottom, you go back to the top and you'll black out a second word. And then you'll read it again. And by the end of this process, you will have repeated the script as many times as there are words in the script. And guess what happens when you do that? At the end, you'll be looking at a blank page that has all blacked out words, and you'll be saying the script. And so you will no longer be saying it, you will be breathing the script, which is the terminology that I use. The reason this is important is because if you are selling, the last thing you should be thinking about is what you're going to say. You should be thinking about the prospect is saying, because a lot of sales is in your ears, not from your mouth. The person who speaks the most in the sale loses. So the idea here is we want them to give us as much information for us to be on defense as much as possible, which is only possible when you actually know the damn script. And so for us at our team and for you, you have to keep script as gold. It has to be paramount. It has to be no one is above the script because people fought and died to figure out these words which we know close prospects. And if you have different people saying different things, you can't do any of this because you can't even do the basics. So it's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. If you can't at least pour concrete if everyone says the same words, you don't have a team. And the reality is this is 95% of sales teams, and that's why they are not world class. Now, I said there were 3 things. So number 1, you got to speak loud enough. Number 2, you got to speak at the right speed. And number 3, you have to articulate every word so they can understand you. All 3 of these are around comprehension. To make sure that it sounds natural, you will just always have variability in how you speak if you are not reading something. If you read something, then you'll sound like you're reading something because you don't actually know the words you're saying and you actually have less variability in your speaking cadence.
Let me hear the part Alex's message stood out to you most. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. See you next time. Bye.